and I'm going to give it to you for free. Okay. For free.
Yeah.
But all you have to do is add on your Waymo sensor suite.
Right.
Do you think they can get their compute and sensor suite down to less than $25,000?
Hey, y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All. I am once again with FutureAza, Brian White, who, if you don't know, I don't know how you wouldn't know this guy, but if you don't, here he is over on YouTube with 80.1 thousand subscribers. We actually did it because last week I think we made a note about the fact that it was your fault if he didn't have 80,000 by this week. So he has 80,000. And also we have him over here on X, where you have 21.2 thousand followers. So you can definitely improve that one as well. Anyway, so yeah, definitely check out what Brian is up to and make sure you're subscribed to him on both things. Follow him, all that good stuff. And today we are going to talk about the environmental impact, or just the impact report that Tesla did. This is for 2025, but really we're talking about 2026 stuff with Cybercab. This is a monstrous document. There is a good chance that I will do another video on something else in here later on. So, hey, if you're not subscribed to me, you should be done doing that as well. But today we're going to limit this to the Cybercab because holy mackerel, this is a lot of stuff, right, Brian? First of all, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Great to be here. Yes, let's talk about the impact report, because at least all of it is fascinating, but when it comes to the Cybercab, we're getting some more glimpses behind the curtain, and it's fascinating.
Yeah. So I think this is actually on the last page where Cybercab is actually located, but I think it's actually a good thing to begin with, which is shifting from individual vehicle ownership to autonomous ride hailing. This is sort of starting at the end, but the whole point that they're trying to do here is to move away from every person having to own 3 cars, or every family having to own 3 cars, or whatever, so it's a very inefficient system. If I recall correctly, we tend to use our cars 5 to 10% of the day, something along those lines. It's very, very minimal.
It's certainly not more than 10%. That would be 2.4 hours a day. That's a lot of driving.
Yeah. Even if you have an hour commute each way and go to the grocery store, that's still, so, if you're under that amount, then you're probably not even using it that much time. So it's very important. I guess we can just start with that. So why they say, while personal EV ownership is a major step towards sustainable transportation, it doesn't solve for underutilization. And it's used for 10 hours per week. So that's not even 10%. That's a lot less than that. So anyway, so why Robotaxi, and why specifically Cybercab in this case?
Well, your second and third vehicle comment is what really makes the most sense. I know people who have a second and third car because even though their main car gets 95% of their use, they've got a weird use case for something else.
Right.
I know people who commute who own a, compact, affordable, reasonably comfortable car, but they still have a pickup truck because, 6 times a year they get out to the lake, or they want to go up hunting or fishing or whatever it may be on roads that are not super passable for a sedan. So for those people, they could get rid of their commuter car and have this instead. And I know a lot of people say, well, I would never do that. There are a lot of ways that you could transition into this. For example, kids would just not get a license. That's a very easy one, because getting a license involves a lot of steps and testing. And for a young person, their commuting habits may cost less than their insurance.
Oh, definitely.
The other way is,
I know this for a fact. I'm sure you do too.
The other way is and we're not under 25.
No, I'm just saying your children, right? To my kids, they cost a lot of money.
So then imagine you've got your Nissan, your Mercedes, whatever it may be, goes into the shop, will get it diagnosed for you, have it back to you in a few days. And in the meantime, you start taking a Cybercab around town.
Right.
Now, the first day you spend $5, $10. You're like, that's actually not that bad.
Right.
And then the next day they tell you, it's going to be $900 to fix this very simple item, but really you should do about $3,000 worth of stuff.
Yeah, that's what they.
And you go $600. That's to have $3,000 for the. I mean, this is insane. If you look at a 10-year-old like Land Rover, your airbag suspension is going to cost you $10,000 to replace.
Right.
You know what? Maybe I'll just sell it for scrap, and for $10,000,
Yeah.
I can be anywhere I want, anytime I want, night or day, all over town. Sober, drunk, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Asleep, doesn't matter. I can do work on the way to work, doesn't matter, and it'll cost less. So
yeah,
that's another way.
Before we continue, a quick shout out to my channel sponsor, Joa. They make the best accessories for your Tesla and other EVs, and they have amazing warranties and customer service too. Check out the link in the description and grab a Tesla roof shade, a fan-cooled phone charger, a portable tire inflator, a fold-out lap table, and so much more. Oh, and they make perfect gifts for your EV-loving friends too. Be sure to check out the link to save 5% off your Joa order, and now let's get back to it. And I think it's important to note, I talk to a lot of people whose knee-jerk reaction is, I'm American, especially this is in America particularly, but they're like, America, have to have cars, many cars. But I think that the secret here is families own, gosh, there's some families on my street that it's like the cars are out the driveway. They can't even fit them in the driveway. So, if you get rid of one car, right, you don't have to go crazy and get rid of all your cars and go nuts. If you just get rid of one, you're going to find out that the insurance costs, the maintenance costs, the fuel, all of that kind of stuff is more than compensated for by the taxi, Cybercab. Yeah, exactly. Right. So you're like, okay, I pay per usage. And yeah, if I need to go to the lake, then I do still have my pickup truck. But for daily commutes, why I would get rid of mine in a heartbeat, because one of our cars, because it would just be completely logical to be able to commute to work. As soon as the Robotaxis, Cybercabs are in our area, that's what makes more sense. Okay. So yes. So not all, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, you've got your registration alone in some cities.
Oh yeah.
Some counties at least can be $1,000 a year. That's a lot of money. Where I'm at, it's very reasonable. It's only like $400 a year, which is still pretty darn steep.
Yeah.
And that's before you figure in, do you know what peace of mind comes with not having to wonder what that new sound your car is making is about? Guess what? If it breaks, you hop in a different one. Right. But really, it's not going to break on this drive. So you just getting a different one on the way home, because of course you will.
Right.
And if this doesn't suit your needs, you need a slightly bigger one, get a Model Y. Just order the Cybercab XL, just like you do the Uber XL. And now you've got more seats.
And more than likely, eventually, the Cybertruck will also be in this fleet as well, in a small extent, in case you got to go to Lowe's and get a bunch of mulch or something like that. You just hire one of those out, and you pay more for that particular experience, but that doesn't matter because it's rare. So,
yeah, just like Uber Black or any of the other services that these ride shares already offer.
Yeah. So I don't have a slide for this one, but I do know this. This is something that they said that the equivalent of a year of running one of the server rack GPUs is what you save by using the Cybercab. It's a year of driving the Cybercab or using the Cybercab would be the equivalent of 11 months of GPU usage for one of those high-end Vera Rubin NVIDIA server rack things. And that's a significant amount. It's a lot that you're saving. So
those don't even move.
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, they don't even get you anywhere. So let's talk about this. So the idea of an autonomous taxi, really nice idea. Love it. All that kind of stuff, but they're not all created equal. And this slide, I think, was extremely revealing, which was over here. Now Model Y is already on the road. So we already have this data, and you can see that it's already at 4.3 miles per kilowatt hour. So that's like the amount, for those who aren't familiar, that'd be sort of like miles per gallon as sort of a rating. And so the bigger the number, the better, right? So it's more miles per kilowatt hour. And you can see that the Kia and the Hyundai and the Ford and the VW, they're all in the 3 point something range. And then they had to put this in here, right over here, right? The Jaguar I-Pace, which is what conveniently uses the Jaguar I-Pace.
Boy, if only we could figure it out. I only see them in one use context, and it's universally Waymo's Robotaxi of their service. And we saw something unexpected over the 4th of July. Yeah. It's not just that Waymo failed. That didn't surprise me as much, but in San Francisco, they did. Right. They got stuck in traffic jams. They drove over active fireworks. They did a lot of things you didn't expect. Yeah. But what also happened was some of them ran out of juice.
Yeah.
which is crazy because a immobile electric car uses very little juice
Right.
unless it's running its entire server rack in the back,
Mhm,
which a
mhm,
Waymo absolutely is.
mhm.
Their compute is very thirsty.
Yeah.
And the I-Pace is not exactly known for having fantastic range to
Right.
start with.
And I
Some
think
of
that's
them are
actually a
restrained.
good point on your part is this is just the I-Pace, not the Waymo version, which is going to be a lot lower than this because it's running a pretty beefy computer system in the back of the car. So yeah.
Yes, the compute and the sensor suite
And the LiDAR
combined.
and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then of course the really cool news, and this is not on the road yet, but hopefully will be soon, is this guy right here, the Cybercab. Yeah, if I can outline, there we go.
Yeah.
This one right here. So yeah, so the big news is the Cybercab is actually crushes the Model Y by a significant amount.
50% better.
Yeah.
And how do you even get that kind of efficiency? Well, you make it smaller, you make it
Mhm.
lighter, you
Mhm.
make the entire aero profile vastly improved, you get rid of the mirrors. What's left to do? Well, the climate control has realistically a quarter to a third of the cabin space to moderate. It's got no sunroof, so the heating and cooling is even better
Mhm.
better managed from that perspective.
Right.
The sound system, as amazing as it is
Yeah.
half the size, maybe less than half the
Right.
size. So it's attacking this equation on all fronts,
Right.
all the way down to the tires.
Yeah, which if you notice from this picture, I just brought this up so that people can look at it while you're doing it, but the front tire is smaller than the back tire. And if you, I think it's a Formula One where they have different size tires on the front. Anyway, it changes the aero profile of the car at higher speeds. Having a smaller front tire disturbs the air less as it flows over the vehicle. So everything is designed for efficiency with this vehicle.
When I talked about tires after interviewing the engineers, I had commenters telling me, Brian, you don't understand the tire equation. And I didn't. So I brought on Ian from Fastco, who explained it, who brought slides. And if you were traveling in a straight line, you would want the front wheels to also be quite large.
Yeah.
But because you have to turn, that creates new elements to consider, not the least of which is the centrifugal forces.
Right.
It creates additional centrifugal forces while in motion, and turning them is challenging. That creates inefficiency. Another one is you'd have to have more space in the front to actually fit the turn radius. But yes, they have thought of absolutely everything.
Yeah, and you can see how absolutely tiny the front of the vehicle is. That's all space that does not need to have anything in it because it doesn't need a frunk, it doesn't need an engine. It's just needs the wheels. That's all that has to be there.
All your packaging is up there, your BMS, your HVAC, your motor, your only motor. So if you open that, it is full, but it's not over full. It doesn't look like under the hood of a car in the 80s with a first generation of pollution control systems that were terrible.
Right.
So yeah.
No, but I'm just saying they were able, because it doesn't require a lot of stuff and you don't have to have a front because it's not a consumer vehicle. You just pile everything into that tiny little front area and it's fine.
They're very good at packaging.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, Tesla's amazing with that. And so since we're on this page, you can see that not only is the vehicle very beneficial, in terms of getting the good kilowatt hours per mile and stuff like that, but the emissions are really, really good. I mean, well, compared to ICE vehicles, it's not even a competition, but even compared to the Model 3 and Model Y, it's again, not quite twice as efficient, but very much more efficient. We have basically everything's built for it to be as efficient as possible and to last about 500,000 miles. That's a significant, that's explicitly mentioned that they're expecting to go 500,000 miles with this vehicle. And that's something that ICE vehicles without a lot of maintenance simply cannot do, but this vehicle probably can. And let's remember it's a taxi. So we're not talking about your 16-year-old kid is going to go out and joyride in this thing, right? It's always going to be driving with an AI profile that is not only maximizing safety and comfort, but also maximizing efficiency and longevity. Even today, I still once in a while just enjoy stomping on the accelerator and, accelerating my Model Y. But this is not going to do that. It's very much a taxi and design. Yeah. So that's very important.
Designed for that level of comfort. I recently stomped on it in the Model Y because it was fun. My passengers were not amused, but that's a different consideration. I told them I would announce it should I do it again. So look, John, here's the deal. I got a car. I want to pitch it to you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give it to you for free. Okay. For free.
Yeah.
But all you have to do is add on your Waymo sensor suite. Right. Do you think they can get their compute and sensor suite down to less than $25,000?
I don't know. I'm not sure they can.
I'm not sure they can. Now, here's the other consideration. I should probably tell you this before you accept my free car, which is not, which sounds like a good deal.
It does.
It's not going to go, mine's not going to go 500,000 like that one. So in 150, 200,000 miles, you have a choice between eye-wateringly expensive repairs or replacing it entirely.
Yeah.
And at that point, you're not getting it for free again because free cars don't exist. This is an imaginary scenario. Would you want to use my car instead?
No, absolutely not.
It's ridiculous. Even at free, I can't sell the darn thing.
Yeah.
And the reality is, because I saw someone say, well, here's a picture someone snapped of an I-Pace with over 200,000 miles. And all I could think was, wow, you must have spent a fortune keeping that thing on the road. And you would, because it's cheaper than replacing it. You have to do all that upfit again. And the I-Pace is out of production.
Right. Yeah. And I know that Waymo's working on another generation vehicle, which hopefully will help them out a lot. But in the meantime, the I-Pace was not the correct thing to go with to start.
The reason they did was because Magna built the I-Pace and Magna did the upfit. So they had all the engineering schematics and it made sense. But their next vehicle, if they're going to do the Zeekr Mix, that's a Chinese vehicle. That's made in China. That's going to have a 100% import tariff. Yeah. Anyhow you slice it, that will still cost way too much.
Right. Right. So let's talk about this. This is a very specific technical detail, but again, Dr. Scott Walter he's been doing victory laps for the past couple of weeks since this was announced, but we have more information now. So basically, Scott, after Autonomy Day back in 2024 said, oh, it's going to have to be injection molded plastic like the Saturn vehicle. And I know the Saturn got a bad rap, but it really tried. GM in the late 90s was really trying some pretty cool stuff. The EV1 was an amazing vehicle. They tried stuff. It just was a little early, I think, was the problem. And of course, that was a consumer vehicle and it had metal parts and plastic parts, which faded at different rates. So it looked really crappy after a while. Anyway, that's not a problem for the Cybercab. And 500,000 miles, honestly, with a taxi, you're going to do that in a couple of years. So by the time it starts fading, it's going to have gone through its lifespan anyway. But anyway, the important part here is the paint shop. There is no more paint shop. The best paint shop is no paint shop. Our new reaction injected molding or RIM process engineered for Cybercab production reduces manufacturer scale cycle times from hours in a traditional paint shop to just minutes with paint being injected during the molding process. So that is very, very cool. You can see that supply chain and manufacturing emissions are cut by 35%. And of course, it's just in time. That's also very important. It's at the end of the line, according to Joe Tegmeyer. Thoughts?
So that's the first clue we got about this was when Matthew Donegan Ryan spoke to Tom Jew at one of the events at the factory. Right. This is before the Cybercab was announced, before we knew what it was. We just knew there was something next coming. Right. And Matthew asked him, will it have a paint shop? And his answer was, paint is expensive.
Right. I remember that. Yeah.
That is the correct. That is a good clue. Thank you.
Right.
Now, we didn't know if that meant bare aluminum, bare stainless, bare plastic. We didn't know what it meant, but we had some ideas. Dr. Scott, of course, got ahead of those. But what it means is, in a normal factory, you run a whole batch of red cars, then a whole batch of blue, then a whole batch of white.
And they have to be painted at the same time. Yeah, right.
At the same time, with the doors serial numbered onto them. So they're all painted from identical paint. And then they go up into the body bank where they sit for hopefully only a day or 10, but sometimes it can be longer. And then you pull them out of the body bank to make them in the right color order. The paint shop, you're going to spend $100 million easy. You could spend $1 billion or $2 billion if you wanted. high volume like this would be a very expensive paint shop.
Right.
So let's get rid of that. And the body bank is going to be large. It's going to take up a lot of space, but also a lot of time, and time is money.
Yeah.
So the quicker you can move these out the door, the more money you can keep, the more money you cannot spend. You can have these deployed and or sold before you even pay for the materials to build them, if you're on net 30 terms, which Tesla definitely is.
Yeah.
And because it's all injection molded in the same facility, you don't need to match the doors. The doors just plain match.
Right.
And for fading over time, it's a taxi. I don't know if you've ever gotten in a taxi where the paint didn't quite match, but for me, I'd say that happened half the time, maybe all the time, because taxis are on the road forever. They get dinged up a little. And unlike legacy taxis where they just hammer it back out and spray paint it, these you can just replace the panel.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so if the car's been out for a year and then a panel goes away, obviously the fading is going to cause the color to look different, but I don't think people are not going to get that out of control about it because they don't own the car. You have a very different relationship to an Uber than you do to your own car or a taxi.
Very different.
Yeah. And also I think it's very much worth noting the VOCs, or volatile organic chemicals or compounds, has been eliminated as well, because one of the nasty things about paint, if you've ever tried to take your paint can just from your house to the dump, they charge you a lot of money for taking it there. They do not like paint. Paint is bad. A lot of VOCs in it. So anyway, so all of that is good too. So moving along, because I know we have used a lot of time here. Cybercab unlocks our autonomous future. That's good. The other one was transforming. Oh, I don't have it here. Oh, well. What I wanted to talk about was the experience of everybody, and that's what I'm looking for. I guess I don't have the slide for this, but we will talk about it. So basically, the deal is that these Cybercabs, robotaxis on the road are actually good for everybody, not just good for the people who are riding in them, because they are reducing emissions. They are being used more efficiently. They're electric vehicles as opposed to gas. And therefore, like for the local residents, if you're in a large city where there's lots and lots and lots of gas cars that are driving around, you're breathing that crap in. There's no way to avoid that. And this is advantageous, not just for the people riding them, but for the community as well.
So let's talk about this. I had a comment come in maybe 2 weeks ago. Someone said, hey, I heard that hospital admissions for respiratory ailments are down in the zip codes with the highest EV adoption. What? How did I looked it up. It is true.
That
correlation.
That's worth a whole video in its own right. Honestly, that's cool.
Yes. Get a emergency room doctor to talk about it. Yeah. Getting those, and the correlation is direct. Right. So, and that's with very small adoption numbers. We're talking zip codes with, 25, 30%, and no trucks yet. Getting these idling cars are awful. They're the worst. You've been stuck in holiday traffic jams or crash-related traffic jams, and you're hot. You roll the window down. Now you're just huffing fumes. This is awful. You've been at the airport where everyone does their pickup and drop off. Oh, it's the worst. I hate it. Yeah. Do you really want people spewing fumes around playgrounds? Because that's where parks are. They're on roads. So it's awful. And then you get to brake dust with the PM 2.5 particles small enough to pass the blood barrier.
Which has asbestos in it, by the way, so that's even better. Yay.
It's terrible. Well, at least I won't catch on fire. So these are horrible things that you want less of in your world. But also you want some quiet. When I was in Shanghai recently, now I'd lived in Shanghai, I'd worked in Shanghai 25 years ago. When I was back in Shanghai last year, I was out in the morning, maybe 7 o'clock in the morning, and I could hear birds. That's was amazing. Not a thing. And then I'm standing at a stoplight. There's 30 scooters next to me. The light turns green. And if you've ever heard 30 scooters go, it sounds like the starting line at a go-kart track.
Right.
But this didn't. It was silent.
Yeah.
And it was so delightful. And I thought, this is the future, man. This is how you got to do it.
And that's something that I think China is probably, again, the leading indicator here, because they are the country that had the most dense traffic, gas cars, and oftentimes bad gas cars that didn't even have like emission standards and stuff, and moving as rapidly to electric vehicles. I bet if you talk to an emergency room physician in a Chinese urban area, they're probably like, holy crap, it has gone down a lot in the past several years.
Wow.
So, yeah, so I would think
that would make sense.
Yeah, right. Well, they've
also put in a whole lot of subways. When I was in China 25 years ago, they had just put in the second line. So there was the 1 line and the 2 line. And now they've built out easily just the subways in Shanghai, more new rail than the entirety of the US during the same period. Yeah. It's easy to get just about anywhere.
Right. Yeah, and that matters too. So this isn't the ultimate solution, but in the United States, where we just have really, really crap public transportation in most cities, this is a good way. It is much better than the current solutions. Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. So I'm very excited about the impact of this, and I'm very excited to be able to ride in one of these, either the Robotaxi or especially the Cybercab as they come to our areas. And we have a lot more to talk about, so stuff to talk about in the future. And I thank you so much for being part of this. I enjoyed this. We wanted to talk about it together, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Alrighty, folks, make sure that you subscribe to Brian over on YouTube and X, and also me as well, I guess. And we will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.